I do a lot of research for the videos on this channel, which just means that I come across a lot of great stories and ideas that really excite me, including when it comes to sustainable design and engineering. Now, a lot of the materials that we use in industries around the world are going to need a massive rethink if we're going to stand any chance of protecting and saving our environment. So in this video, I just want to share some of my favorite ideas in sustainable materials that I've come across in like the past few months. So let's just crack on with it. Now, a lot of you watching are students, and some of you watching are fine dining connoisseurs, which simply means that you all enjoy the odd instant ramen every now and then, which is pot noodle for you English lot. And there's a really interesting idea created by a product design student called Holly Grounds that's a plastic-free alternative to those little sachets that you find in instant noodle packs that have all those flavorings inside them. So Holly's idea was, why not combine the flavoring and the packaging? Which led to the creation of dissolving edible flavored packaging. You simply put the noodles and the packaging in a bowl, pour hot water over it, and in a few minutes you've got sweet, sweet ramen heaven. The wrapper is made from a bunch of simple ingredients like potato starch, glycerin, and water, and it's heat sealed to keep the noodles from going stale. When dissolved, the packaging acts as the flavoring for the broth, and you can infuse this packaging with pretty much whatever flavors you want. And once it's packed into a wax sealed paper packet for hygiene, you can see how convenient this could all be. And its uses might go past ramen into things like dehydrated ready meals and a simple method for portion control. Nice. Now, sure, there are a lot of questions to be asked about whether this is actually feasible as a replacement for traditional packaging, but it's a nice idea that has enough potential applications that I just really needed to highlight it. All right, on to the next one. Now, sea stone is really cool. It uses seashells salvaged from the seafood and aquaculture industry to create an alternative to concrete. So first you need to know that the concrete industry is one of the biggest contributors to carbon emissions, and it's also one of the most destructive, seeing as it needs massive amounts of raw materials in its production. One of these materials is limestone, which just happens to be made out of the same stuff as seashells, calcium carbonate. Now, the seafood and aquaculture industries bosh out a massive 7 million tons of seashells each year, with most of it going uncleaned and sometimes rotting straight into landfills or beaches, where it pollutes and can be a toxic hazard. So a company called NewTab22 has come along and said, hey, we could turn that into like concrete, which is exactly what they've done. They crush these waste seashells and mix this powder with natural binders. And after adding this mix into a mold, it solidifies into these concrete-like pieces. The process currently avoids the use of heat, electricity, and chemical treatments. And combined with the fact that it's already using waste materials, it makes it a really cool little sustainable idea. Now, so far it's been used for small-scale products like tiles and vases and tabletops, things like that. Now, maybe it'll be used at a larger scale in the future, but that's going to rely on them figuring out a process that doesn't make the whole sustainability aspect just completely pointless. There is a new sustainable alternative leather technology that might be about to shake up the fashion industry. It's called Milo, and it's made from fungi. It was created by Bolt Threads, but its production is being pumped into absolute overdrive by Adidas, Stella McCartney, Lululemon, and Kering, who have teamed up and are investing millions into the tech, which should tell you something about it. It's made using mycelium, which for mushrooms are kind of like what roots are for trees, in really simple terms. It's grown on beds of sawdust until it becomes these giant foamy layers, kind of like squished marshmallows. It's then processed in a variety of ways and can replicate the look and feel of real leather across a range of colours and textures. It's also more ethical, uses less hazardous chemicals, and consumes less water and emits less greenhouse gases than traditional leather production, according to the company. So as soon as 2021, we could be seeing leather shoes and bags and jackets being made from fungi. Now, I want to explore Milo in way more detail in a full episode, because if this technology checks out, it is really fascinating. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can learn more about it when that video comes out. You know what's bad for the planet? Plastic packaging used to deliver our stuff and make sure it doesn't break on the way. Well, a company called Grown might have the solution to that problem. Now, just like that leather alternative Milo, it's packaging that is made from that root-like part of fungi called mycelium. The packaging is made by mixing this mycelium with waste from the agricultural industry. Inside a 3D printed cast, the mycelium feeds on that waste and then grows to fill up that shape. It's then dehydrated to stop it from expanding any further, which leaves behind a fully biodegradable alternative to packaging. It's both shock resistant and highly insulating, and it's also supposedly carbon negative in its production, which obviously is pretty great as well. Now, it's been used so far as packaging for a range of products like luxury beauty products, wine bottles, and it's even been used as a cooler. Now, it's still early in its commercial journey, but packaging is something that really needs a big change, seeing as the delivery and movement of goods is continuing to increase globally. Now, there are other ideas for sustainable packaging being developed and used around the world, but my thinking is, well, having one more option really can't hurt. And lastly, I want to look at another student project, this time from the Instituto Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico, which I probably just butchered the name of, which I'm really sorry about. So a bunch of students might have figured out a way to use available materials to create solar lamps in isolated areas that have limited access to electricity. There were 6 ideas for the lamps, each using simple solar cells and LED lights and a variety of materials, including mud, black beans, cactus slime, wicker, and my personal favourite, coconut shells. Now, the idea behind the project isn't to create some mass production product that can be shipped around the world. Instead, it's looking at ways to give local communities the opportunity to create and distribute things like lamps locally, using only what they have and then just a few simple, cheap electronic components. Now, obviously, these solutions won't be as long lasting as other options, but the ability to know how to create a new source of light if a lamp breaks and be able to do it affordably and sustainably could be much more important. And it's also just a really creative use of natural and plentiful materials that could inspire more sustainable design elsewhere. So I just thought that it earned its place on this list. So even though some of these things were just student projects or like explorations of ideas, I still wanted to share them because it really does get me excited to see what different people in different industries are trying to create in order to make this world that little bit better. Or like a little bit less crappy, depending on where you lie on that glass is half full versus glass is half empty philosophy. Now, I've never done a list video like this on the channel before, but I've got a whole load more lists that I want to make videos about. So let me know what you thought of it down below, and if you did like it, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss my lists. All right, nice and simple. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one, my friends.